Hello internet, and today I got something different for y'all. This is a new game that's gonna pique your interest if you like Epic 7 as well. We got Journey Renewed Fate Fantasy. Now this is a sponsored video, so let's just get on with an introduction with the game very quickly. This game is based off of Journey to the West, but it has a whole unique twist to it. In the story, it's filled with animations and live 2D effects that's going to take your breath away, and not to mention it's got epic fights, and it's also got some goofy moments to it as well, and straight up aesthetic times. In terms of the combat, it is turn-based, and every character has their own unique skills and abilities, and some of them even has full-blown cutscenes, which is really unique. And it's pretty similar to Epic 7 if you follow me for that, right? So yeah, do give me a couple of moments to just introduce you to the game, and if you're really interested and you wish to support me, download the game via my link in the description. With that said, let's start with today's beginner's guide on this game. In order to make sure your account progresses smoothly and dominate the game, the first thing you want to do is, unfortunately, claim free things. I wouldn't even say unfortunately, it's fortunately they give us a lot of free things. Like day 2 you get Chang'e. More on characters later though, but if you just look at the lobby, there's a lot of red dots that you can click on. For example, benefits. Here's where you are able to get so much free characters. For example, Blazeheart SSR and Tang Xuanzang SSR that you just have to play the game in order to achieve. Make sure to be active as well because you have Lance meal delivery that's going to get you free energy. There's also the 7-day event as well, where if you just keep playing the game and get all these tasks done, you'll be able to get a skin as a reward that just looks pretty damn gorgeous, right? And not to mention a lot of summons. Look at this. There's a total of 66 summons in this 7-day event, so you do not want to miss that. And all in all, as long as you just keep playing, you'll be able to just get not only one SSR Chang'e. On day 7, you get a selector of any that you wish. A quick overview on what I recommend getting. I recommend Queen of Womenland, which is going to be really strong for PvE, paired with the second recommendation, Princess Pika right here, which is a good PvE healer. Not to mention Queen of Womenland as well is going to be eventually strong for some tank comps in PvP. The final recommendation I have will be for Noja, which is a strong single target damage healer early on, but do note that he does fall off later on. And with that said, let's dive on into some showcase of the mechanics and how the fights go. As I mentioned, this game is a turn-based RPG and you're allowed to put 6 characters in your lineup. In order to understand who to put in there, you first have to understand about factions and roles as well. So just take a look at this Jade Rabbit character, right? If you click on this icon right here, you get to see a lot of information about how the system works. Now, to just give you a quick rundown, faction advantage basically means elements. We know the good old RGB and light versus dark. If you are advantages, you get these buffs: damage increase and crit rate increase. If you're at a disadvantageous faction or just element straight up, you get less hit rate except for some types of characters. And if you're able to dodge as well, you get all of these effects. So you want to abuse this system to make sure you're always advantages if you can. And as for the roles of every characters, you can read it right here. We got Guardian, Warrior, Healer, Utility, Mage, and Assassin. Each does different things. To give you a quick rundown, Guardian's a tank role. You want to sustain. Warrior is a mix of everything. They can sustain. Sometimes they can do good damage. Can still do debuffs as well. Healer is, well, a healer, very clear. Utility is a support role that can either buff your characters, they can also weaken enemies as well. That usually comes with outstanding speed, and you want to put them in the back row, which I'll touch on later. You got a mage, which is a DPS role with superior control that can do a lot of AoE damage and sometimes even buff yourself, your allies, or debuff the enemies. And then you have assassin, a pure DPS role, glass cannon a lot of the times. You want them in your back row. And speaking of which, let's talk about where you put them. Now that you understand all these characters' roles, right? For example, Black Bear Spirit right here is of the tank role. I'm putting him in the front row, which is recommended right here. You can see it's a pretty simple logic. Front row gets attacked first, and then only the back row gets attacked. But then again, some enemies have unique abilities that could just bypass that and hit your back row. But generally speaking, front row are the characters that you want to be able to tank and sustain, which is why as Sun Wukong, which is a warrior that's flexible, he can be everywhere and he has decent sustain. Ink Spirit, which is a healer, I ideally want to put in back row, but hey, I don't have anyone else better considering everyone else is not suited in the front row. We got Red Boy being a DPS, we got Chang'e being a mage. And with that said, you've just learned about team building. Put your tanky characters forward and your DPS or weaker characters on the back row, and that is how you achieve good team building. Now to just go ahead and start and introduce to you how the battle looks like. And here we go. You start with a turn order for sure, right? As I mentioned, it's a turn-based game, so here you see a row right here down the bottom. I call it the action bar. And if you click on the top right, you get to see the action values on everyone. This is dependent on your speed, and Chang'e is the fastest. Remember, you can get it for free, just log in 2 days. And what Chang'e does is AoE damage that can buff your team in the same row for attack up. This is perfect because I want Red Boy here, which is an assassin or DPS, to just nuke them, right? So let's go and use this. They might die because they're really not that strong, but thank God they didn't die. We get our assassin to go ahead and use his ultimate as well. We got this, which does burn for 2 turns, right? So he's an assassin that utilizes burn damage. And here you are able to see disadvantages as well, because I'm using a green versus red. So this is when I have less hit chance for sure. Let's just go and use it anyway though. And look at the animations as well, right? We did just straight up kill them, which is fine. And just like that, you've done a pretty direct buff into your DPS to just do high damage, right? And then with Jade Rabbit, this is going to show a really cool showcase of the game. I got Element Bomb, which is just a speed down. I'm gonna go and do that, and check this out. There are animations, whole cutscenes for some characters to skill, and we've just done that. We've planted a debuff as well. That is what Jade Rabbit does, and she doesn't really tank too well, so I'm putting her back row. And we're gonna end it with Sun Wukong with this animation too. Not every character has cutscenes, but some has some sick animations like this, right? And that is how combat is done at a very basic level. Master that first for beginner's account, yeah? And that is pretty much an overview of the game. If you like the game, do give it a shot. And what I'm about to go into next is for people that really want to progress their account, right? So the first thing you want to do is honestly the ultimatum here. We want to make our characters better. We want to make them stronger, right? And to do so, let's get an overview of how you can make them better. The most obvious one is certainly just cultivating. This is the level system, and it's based off of your title rank, which is ultimately based off of your level and your completion of the story mode, which is why your first order of business is just get your level up and fight the chapters in the story mode. The more you can progress, the better your characters are gonna get in terms of levels, right? So that's one of it. And we have the Ascension, which is a duplicate system. If you get any, you're gonna get more talent points and more stat bonus as well. Fairly normal, right? Now, talent points is what I'm gonna touch on later. But here are relics though, which acts as sort of a weapon with their own unique effects. You can farm this, but I don't recommend going for it at the start of the game. Just make sure you get your level up. Don't really gotta like hard farm for these at the start though, and you're gonna get a lot of free ones anyway from just completing story. Enhancing them gives you more stat, you know, pretty normal, right? And the unique thing about this game is this fate system right here on the top left, where you get to see sort of an awakening system here. This is something you want to prioritize outside of just leveling up your characters, which you can do again ultimately by reaching higher level on your account and your characters, right? By doing so, you get to unlock unique effects like these. 5-element card increase in terms of, you know, the effect chances. That's gonna be really good for you to just make your character stronger. So make sure you max this. These are all really just farmable stuff. Click on it and you'll know where to get them. If you can't get them yet, that means your level's not good yet. Try and get your level up. Now, by unlocking these fate system, you unlock these points named talent points, which if you just click on this, you get to this talent screen right here, which essentially just means free stats. If you unlock fate, you get more free stats that you can assign just on your own, however the way you want it. And even if you already have one set up and you don't think it's the best, you can just hit talent reset. I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now, and the moment I reset the plan, right now you see it, I have 20 talent points still. I can assign one if I feel like it, or I can take them away. If I don't know what I'm doing, just hit reference. This is the most popular thing that people do. I'm gonna go ahead and save that, and boom, free stats. That is why you want to really max your fate out. These talent stats are so good. By progressing your characters, you're gonna get higher level and you're gonna clear through journey. And the first order of business is I want you to get through chapter 6 in the journey, 6-8, in order to activate Cosmos cultivation mode right here, which you get to unlock the gear system, or in this game it's named armor. To put it simply, armor is the gear system where there are different sets and different effects of different gear sets, right? You're gonna get a lot of stats from these: your crit damage, crit rate, speed. All of it is going to be from Cosmos cultivation in as one of the main sources, and it's one of the main ways your character are going to get better stats. And there are a lot of different sets. Let me just read it out for you, okay? For example, there are the 4-piece attack sets that gets your character increase in attack by 36%, right? There's also the crit damage set that gets your crit damage increased by 40%, all of which you're able to farm in the Cosmos cultivation mode. So you want to unlock that as fast as you can, get it to as hard as you can so that you can get the rare stuff, and yeah, continue to progress your account level that way as well. Now, honestly though, at that point, you are already in like mid to end game if you already can beat the hardest mode there. So I won't be touching that. This is, after all, just a beginner's guide, which is why in the end, I want to give you a strategy for this game. If you want to progress well, the first thing you do is go to journey, make sure you clear it as hard as you can, level your account up, level your characters up to ultimately unlock all the modes in challenge. There are a lot of good stuff here that can give you even free SSRs. Not to mention Cosmos cultivation that gets you gears, that's going to give you a lot more stats and ultimately help you in, say, if you're a PvP fan in Clash. And yes, there is PvP in this game. We got Void Clash, which is an AI sort of just turn-based PvP mode with just AI controlling the enemy. There's also A2 which I haven't yet unlocked. But for PvP enthusiasts, you want to get this to be your endgame, then you gotta start farming those relics. You gotta start farming those armors as fast as you can. And to finally close on this beginner's guide, here is a recommended newbie team lineup that anyone can do at the start of the game. And this will be it. We got the free healer Ink Spirit, the free warrior Sun Wukong, the free tank in on this Black Bear. We got a full back row of basically support slash DPS as well. That's gonna help you do a lot of damage after Chong buffs your team. Pretty straightforward. The front row survives the back row attacks. That's how I cleared every single chapter up to chapter 5, which I'm limited by level right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get that cleared literally right now. This game's actually pretty interesting. So if you want to download this game, give it a try. Use my link in the description down below. And yeah, that'll help me out a bunch. And I hope you guys enjoy. Take care.